Is it true that this is actually the 10th podcast, Siobhan? Because if it is, then we really need to make this special. This is a milestone moment, everybody. This is our 10th Cancer Bites podcast, and I don't even know where the time went, and I can tell you. But it has been an incredible journey.
Welcome to Cancer Bites, bold voices, big insights, and unstoppable energy, because cancer doesn't get the last word.
I want to welcome all of you that have joined in today for our amazing, I know I'm a bit biased to say so, for our amazing 10th episode of the Cancer Bites podcast. I mean, this podcast has been a labor of love, and our theme this week is how cancer can become a catalyst for authenticity, for reinvention. And, we're calling it a midlife awakening, but it's good, awakening can happen at any stage of life. So I'd like to introduce our amazing guest this afternoon. We have with us the incomparable Ann Landis. And Ann was diagnosed at 33 at an incredibly young age with an aggressive intraductal carcinoma tumor. At that point, she was a new mom. She had a 2-year-old. She was running a business. She was undergoing chemotherapy and the mastectomy. So much would have been happening in your life. And I mean, we know that you're going to have some words of wisdom after being 15 years cancer free. You were living your dream and also my dream on a 10-acre farm. I love horses. I love every kind of animal. I've ridden horses for over 40 years. So
Oh,
I
you need to come
cannot
over then.
wait to come to visit your farm.
Visit. Yeah.
And the biggest thing we want to say is that your book came out on Monday, and it is called Coming Home to Yourself, a Soulful Guide for Women in Midlife. And I cannot wait to dive into that book myself. So we're going to start, and we're going to start to chat with you. Your smile is lighting up my screen already, so this is great. So tell us, I mean, we know it must have been, I mean, it may be an obvious question, and it may not, obviously it was not easy, but what was it like to receive a diagnosis of such a rare cancer at your tender age of 33 when you got your diagnosis?
Yeah. There are a few things that come to mind. One is that it was confusing, first of all, because I have no family history. I don't have any of the gene mutations that put me at higher risk for breast cancer. And I was 33 years old, which was highly unusual. I remember when they sent me for my mammogram, right, when this all started, the mammogram technician was like, "Why are you even here? You shouldn't
Yeah,
even be here."
yeah.
And another thing I felt was incredibly fortunate because I had symptoms that my medical professionals could not ignore.
Ooh.
So many women who are eventually diagnosed with cancer at a young age are diagnosed at a later stage because um, doctors don't even go there. They don't even think about it because it's just not a high risk. But I will say that the incidence of breast cancer among women under 50 is increasing, and it has been
Yeah.
increasing for the past 10 years. So although it was kind of a lonely road at the time, I felt like I was the only one. There are other women out there who are experiencing this, and unfortunately, it's growing. So we have to pay attention to that as well.
Yeah, and we're paying attention. That's one of the reasons we're so glad to hear your story and give you this platform to talk. And, maybe there's something you say that will be that pivotal moment for someone to think, yes, let me actually do something. And also I mentioned all the things that you were balancing when you received your cancer diagnosis. I mean, again, what was that like? Is that something, you can look back at and you either say, how the heck did I do it? Or, wow, I did it.
Wow. I mean, what I like to say is cancer was like getting a second job, but the hours suck and you can't stop puking. So
Thanks for making us laugh. We'll
that's what it
remember
was
that one.
like. Yeah. I mean, at that point in my life, I was really type A and very active in my business, trying to grow my business. And my reaction was to go all in on everything.
Yeah.
Continuing to work full time in my business, continuing to take, primary care of my son, and then to do this cancer thing on top of it. Um, I was on steroids at one point to help with the nausea, and I took advantage of that to paint my dining room at 2 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Gives you an idea of where my head was at that moment, right? But if I were going through this today, I don't think I would do it that way.
Yeah.
I think I would have taken some time to really um, wrestle with the questions that my diagnosis was trying to raise for me, like, who am I being right now? Am I doing
Yeah.
what I really should be doing? Um, that moment, that breath
Yeah.
is an opportunity. And at the time, I just didn't see it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I think that you've touched upon the, the physical toll when you talked about, it's actually you can't stop puking. And I imagine also the emotional toll of all of this. Can you flesh that out a little bit more for us?
yeah. I mean, the first thing, of course, that came to mind was who's going to raise my child?
Yeah.
He was 2.5.
Yeah.
So I still get misty about that one because
Yeah.
that was a really hard thing to cope with
Yeah.
when he was that young. Um, physically, it was, I mean, I probably don't need to tell a lot of your listeners how horrible it is, but um, when I had my first infusion, my first chemotherapy
Yeah.
infusion, I thought it went great. I felt good afterwards.
Yeah.
And I went home. We went out to dinner. I had a nice full dinner. And then at 4 a.m., all of it came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I lost 10 pounds in 3 days because I
Oh my
couldn't even drink
gosh.
water. I had to go to get fluids. So, um, that was just the beginning. At one point, I had 13 prescriptions, and 10 of them were for side effects
Oof. Yeah.
for my chemotherapy. And I had to make a chart so I knew when to take all my pills
Yeah.
and injections too. I had to do
Yeah.
some sub-Q injections as well. So, and there are
Yeah.
lasting effects too. I wear hearing aids now. I
Yeah.
developed moderate hearing loss when I was 40.
Yeah.
It's sort of a normal kind of hearing loss that people get, but not when they're 40.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that, it doesn't not change you
Mm.
physically.
Yeah. Yeah. I think and we're really so happy, and like I am so touched that you're here and can talk to us, because you talk about all of those things going through, and before me I see this incredible woman who, living your dream life and not being defined by those things, but I can imagine at the time being referred to as a medical anomaly. Like, is that something that hit you and you thought, is this who I am now, or did you try to cope with it in some other way?
I think I've kind of shut that out most of the time that it was going on.
Right.
Doctors would kind of look at your chart and then look at you and then look at your chart again. But one thing that I definitely learned through that process was that I needed to learn how to trust myself and
Yeah.
listen to my body.
Yeah.
I had chemotherapy first, then I had a mastectomy, and my oncologist wanted me to do radiation
Yeah.
afterwards. And the reason for that was because I was an anomaly. There was no
Yeah.
data on me, right? They didn't have evidence-based anything for me. So I went to the radiation oncologist and I listened to her spiel, and she was giving me all the side effects. And then she was going down the list and got to spontaneous rib fracture and then just kept going. And I
Oh,
said, "Whoa,
whoa.
what?"
Even I was like, what?
Yeah. I said spontaneous rib fracture. I said, "I heard you. What are you saying right now? Like I could be walking across my house in 3 years and a rib will just break."
Yeah.
And she said, "Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying." And I said, "Hold on, I have to think about this." And that
Yeah.
was probably the first time that I actually paused
Marion.
to think about it. Up until that point, I was just do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I ended up having a meeting with my surgeon just because I trusted him. And I said, "I don't want to do this. Am I being stupid? Am I being crazy?" And he said something I will never forget. He said, "No one knows with you. If you get the radiation and in 5 years it hasn't come back, everyone will say, 'Oh, good thing for you. Good thing you got the radiation. Good choice.'
Yeah.
If you don't get it and in 5 years it hasn't come back, everyone will
Yeah.
say, 'Good call. It's a good thing you didn't get that radiation.'"
Yeah.
So you have to listen to your own body. And my test results, I had 17 lymph nodes that were all clear that were
Okay.
taken during my surgery. And that meant something to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm just done. I'm just done. My body is done with this. It's in the past now. Now, I'm not giving anybody medical advice. I'm not saying don't get
Yeah,
radiation,
yeah.
but for me, it just wasn't, I knew in my heart that it wasn't something that I wanted to do.
That is fantastic. I think that key turning point there when you said you actually paused, because it is very easy to go into automatic pilot, and that combined with the type A mode of okay, go, 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 we're doing this, this, this. And I think it's wonderful that you decided to listen to that authentic voice that you could hear. And I'd love to hear more about that that journey to authenticity that cancer has brought for you.
Yeah, so it didn't happen right away. It definitely took some time. I remember halfway through chemo, they sent me to this therapist who was supposed to like check in and make sure I was like mentally okay. And he asked me how I was, and I said, keep missing deadlines. And he said, look, what would it be like if you just stopped working right now? If you just went to a field and chased butterflies with your son?
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
have never hated a person more than I did now. Like truly, I was like, what do you think is going to happen if I actually stop? I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't want to find out. Right. So again, at the time, I was not really hearing the message, but I do wonder, what would have, how my life would be different or have been different through the years if I'd taken the time to sit with those questions that we talked about.
yeah,
Um, it happens, like I think this is the thing about midlife as a gateway, because it sort of happens to you. There are a lot of things that happen at this age.
yeah,
Relationships change.
yes,
You're exhausted from pleasing everybody all the time. Your body can't hold on to all the things you've been shoving in there for all this time. And things start to change around you. And if hopefully, they help you become more authentic and help you begin to tell your own story and live from your own truth. And that's what we hope for. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but it was a very slow descent for me.
I know, and I think it's so heartening and heartwarming to hear you tap into that authenticity and say, yeah, it was a long journey and it didn't happen immediately, because so many of us kind of, we beat ourselves up and say, well, why can't I be more self-aware and why can't I be wiser? So it's really affirming to hear you say that, yeah, it
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
happen
this is a
all at
time in life when the last thing you want to do is put more pressure on
once.
yourself.
Yeah,
Like when you're
yeah,
undergoing a major medical situation, and if you turn that into, I'm not doing my medical situation right,
yeah,
that's just more than you need. So
yeah.
I've forgiven myself for being so go, go, go during that time.
Right.
And it's all worked out. So it's
And
good.
that's what I was gonna say when you said, okay, you didn't take that decision, but look at where you are now, and I'd love to hear about that. I was reading your bio and I read about the five horses, and instantly my mind lit up. I was like, yes, I love horses. And I thought, oh, I definitely have to come visit you. And, Siobhan will know every guest I say, invite you to come to Barbados, you and your family, and spend some time in the warmth and the sun.
Yes, for
So
sure.
I know, and I mean, so now, let's hear a picture of your life now. You've been 15 years cancer free, you are rebuilding and you're rewriting. What keeps you going now in terms of your creativity and your life?
Um, I guess if I break apart like the last 15 years,
Yeah.
I had some very big milestones along that way, like sort of evenly spaced things, that led me to where I am now. Um, in terms of, I ended my previous marriage, you know, did some traveling, I met someone new,
Lovely.
I got remarried, my dad died, like all of these things kind of
Yeah.
happened along the way that looking back, I can see how it moved me in this direction. But I have had this dream of having a small farm at least since I was 15. When I was
Okay.
15, I went to visit a friend who had her parents had a small farm, and I stayed there
Yeah.
for 3 weeks. And I remember the moment where I was like, this is what I want. This
Yes.
is it.
Yeah.
And then I forgot about it. And life went on. And I
Yeah.
ended up in suburbia
Yeah.
with no pets at all. And um, I just reached a point where that was not working for me anymore, and I couldn't continue to keep that good girl mask on.
Yes.
And so that's when things started to really move. When I met my husband, John, he didn't really have any plans to go live on a farm, but he knew how much I wanted it. And
Yeah.
so there's a whole series of twists and turns that happen there. But finding this place was exactly right. And the day the rescue brought my first two horses to me,
Oh my God.
oh my gosh, we got this little 3-stall run-in shed, and we turned them out, and the grass hadn't been grazed in a while, so it was super green. And they were just running around, kicking their feet up, looking like much younger horses than they were.
Yeah.
And I remember that night we were sitting on the porch, John and I, and just looking at them, and it was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
it actually happened.
Mm.
This actually happened. So yeah, so now my life revolves around constantly learning new things to run a farm. I can't even tell you how many things I've learned how to do in the last 3 years. Like it's wild.
Wow.
But we have laying hens. I have two rabbits. I'm really interested in fiber farming, so I'm starting with the bunnies to see how that
Right.
goes.
Yeah.
We have 5 horses now.
Yay.
I have a little vineyard. Grapes are tough, man. I'm figuring that one out. We have beehives. So there's just a lot going on all the time and always something new to learn. And that just really keeps me excited about my life and interested. And that feeds my creativity too.
Yeah.
So there's something about being in the right life for you that frees up a lot of energy
Yeah.
that you can then use for the things you want to use it for.
That is amazing. I love that phrase, the right life for you, because
Mhm.
it can't be that you think you're following someone else's, and that's a crucial element of authenticity as well, right? This is
Yep.
something that is you. You're on your own journey. You're not competing with anyone. And what,
Right.
this first magic in your life when you first spent the 3 weeks on your friend's farm when you were young has actually planted that seed that you're
Yes.
tapping into again. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you did say that you were traveling a bit as well, right? In this time. Can you tell us about some of the places you went to and the things, the lessons you learned?
I had an amazing opportunity to go to Australia for 3 weeks.
Oh, one of my dream places as well.
One of my best friends moved there a few years earlier, and so I got to go to Melbourne and just live with them, like do their life with them, and that was so so wonderful. I also took a trip to London and then took the train to Amsterdam and came back.
Oh,
So two of my favorite cities in the whole wide world. And I remember when I was in Amsterdam sitting at Museum Plane, which is like where all the museums are. It's like a square. And
oh, yeah,
the weather was terrible, but I was sitting under this umbrella at a little table drinking a latte. And I just thought, oh my God, like this is my life. Is this what my
yeah,
life is now? Is this?
yeah,
I can't even, I mean, so that's happened so many times since then. It's kind of
yeah,
wild. Like that was the first time that I thought, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is where I am right now. And it's right for me right now.
yeah.
So that was really special. I also got to go, when I went back to London, I took a little trip out to Stonehenge, which was was
Oh,
like on my
wonderful.
bucket list.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
very
it
powerful
was
spiritually. That is
absolutely.
fantastic. That's wonderful. So, I mean, I would definitely love to hear more about your book because I know that, that name alone, the idea of coming home to yourself. It's a phrase that this is one of those moments of synchronicity and synergies that I just like I forgot. I always used to say that to myself. I used to write that to myself that whenever there are times in my life, because as we all have had ups and downs, I've said to myself, this feeling of coming home to myself is what I love most. And that doesn't mean everything is perfect, but it means there's that moment when either I'm very much in the present moment or I recognize everything will be fine once I choose to make it so. So I would love to hear more about your book. I mean, some of the themes, what would you like your readers to take away?
Yeah, so the book is organized around a journey. Uh, through sort of a mythical journey through descent, where you're letting go of a lot of things around you, to initiation, which is kind of a listening phase where you're figuring out who you are, um, and really listening for that sense of this is who I am and this is my truth. And then you go through a rising where you begin to integrate those ideas into your life and start making choices that lead you in the right direction. Like most things, this is not an overnight thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I kind of believe that the descent will happen to you no matter what, one way or another, even if it just looks like your kids going off to college or your
Yeah.
parents, moving on or whatever. You will begin to lose things at this time in life. And so from there, it's kind of what you do with it, right? Do you take that breath and say, oh, I don't know if I want to live by all these rules anymore that have been imposed on me by other people.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think it's important for me to recognize the magic that's around
Yeah.
me and look for the breadcrumbs. That to me is the
Yeah.
biggest thing. You have left yourself breadcrumbs your entire life
Yeah.
about who you're supposed to be.
Oh,
And when you look back, you can see what those are and you can start to piece together the life that you would allow yourself to live if you felt worthy of it.
yeah. Oh, you really tapped into that crucial thing too, as well, of self-worth, right? Because
Yeah,
that
for
idea of
sure.
trusting yourself too, and knowing that for me, like I have a very strong conviction that there are no coincidences in my life. These things, as you talk about, those breadcrumbs, as you say, I can look back and I can trust myself I'm the one who's going to recognize what those are. No one else. And I'll
Absolutely.
know of breadcrumbs, and there'll be breadcrumbs no one else can see but me as well, right?
Yeah,
To everyone else, they're just part of the landscape. To me, it's like, oh, there's a breadcrumb, you know. So
absolutely.
I
Yeah, it
love
all
that.
leads somewhere.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing is you never run out of road to run for as long as you live. So right
Yeah.
now I look around me and I'm living this beautiful life that I've wanted forever, but it's also just a resting place
Yeah.
because there's more coming.
Yes.
And so we have to continue listening to ourselves, continue looking for the magic that's around us all the time that is leading us home.
Yeah. Oh, the magic that's leading us home. I think that's great. So I think that leads me nicely into asking you what is it that you think cancer has taught you that you think every woman, not just those who have cancer, would be good to hear?
Um, I think I think it's really about, as we've said, listening to yourself and discovering who you truly are. One of the most sort of visceral experiences I had when I had cancer was when I lost my hair. And
Oh,
I actually, since I had a little kid, I was afraid he would grab my hair and yank it out and then be terrified. So I
yeah.
actually went before it was an issue and shaved my head. And
Oof. Great.
when I came home and I looked at myself in the mirror, I felt like I was seeing myself for the first time. Because every time I looked in the mirror up to that point, it was always,
Yeah. Yeah.
fix this. It was
Yeah.
gone. And so I do think being able to either mentally or physically remove the filters that you use to look at yourself and
Oh,
see yourself as you really are that was a really valuable lesson for me. And I think in some ways it started me on this journey, even 15 years ago, that I'm still on now.
goodness. I mean, yeah. So I think that's so powerful because again, it leads back to authenticity. That is, seeing yourself for who you really are. And that we may call it reinvention, but at the same time, it's actually who you always were to some
Yes.
extent, but the truth of who you are, and then accepting that, but also balancing that with the fact that the endless evolution that is the life journey, right? And trusting yourself to change and trusting yourself that there are levels of yourself becoming wiser along that journey, So I think that's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think the trick is once you kind of have a sense of where you're headed, just make tiny changes.
yeah.
Just look for a tiny decision you can make today that will move you more in that direction. And I've found in my life that when I'm making those choices, spending my time the way I want to spend it, for instance, that's one thing. Um, the universe opens up all kinds of other doors that I couldn't even see before. That may not even be directly related to the choice I made. right?
Yeah.
It starts there. It starts, with little things like taking a different route to work or,
Mhm. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, anything you can do to sort of shake yourself out of the stupor that you're in will
Yeah.
begin to move you and move everything around you.
Yeah, that awakening. So I think that that awakening, I think, is definitely one of the most powerful messages I'm getting from you on your journey. And I know that you have a birthday coming up, which is
I
very
do.
excited. When
I'm
is
turning
that?
50 on Thanksgiving, so two
Oh,
days from now.
you too. Congratulations. Happy birthday in advance. And that is wonderful. Oh my goodness. Major.
Yeah, it feels exactly right to be turning 50 and publishing this book and seeing you guys.
Yes.
And just all this week has just been amazing that way.
That's fabulous. I mean, so, I mean, your book came out on Monday, and we know
Right.
it's available on Amazon, right? It is
Mhm.
called Coming
Coming
Home
home
to
to
Yourself.
yourself.
Yes, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's out there and it's actually doing pretty well. So I'm very excited about that. I hope it gets in. The main thing is I hope it gets into the right hands and
Yes.
that people take something away from it that they find valuable. So that's the goal.
Yeah, and we'll do our best to spread the message on our platforms. You can find Anne for all our viewers and listeners. You can find Anne at www.annlandis.com. And I really want to thank you today, Anne, for this. This has been another incredible conversation. And stories like yours really matter to us here at Cancer Bites and the Cancer Bites community because they show us, that wisdom, going through cancer or not, there we hold wisdom as women, and we hold a wisdom that we should trust ourselves to listen to all the time. And, I wanted to share also with our listeners that we're now on Spotify as well. So, I mean, Anne, this has just made my afternoon to talk to you, I will
Well,
say.
thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed talking to you as well.
No,
Thank you.
anytime at all. And I want to just ask if Siobhan, or incredible founder of Cancer Bites, would like to say a few words as we close. Siobhan, the mic is
Well,
yours.
I'd like to sing happy birthday, but you don't
Yeah.
want to hear it. John would come running and go, "What you're not recording, are you?" Yes. Happy birthday, Anne. I
Yeah.
hope you have a wonderful birthday week
Thank
and
you.
an amazing year on the farm. I love your farm stories. It reminds me of growing up on the farm. John and I are farmers. We just don't have a farm at the moment. So John is a agricultural technology inventor, and you know, since I was diagnosed early in the summer, I wasn't able to go outside because my lung was full of fluid, so they didn't want me to breathe in the hot air from the desert. And recently I just went out to repot my herb garden, my kitchen herb garden, and I was filming it for growingtogive.org, which I'm the co-founder of, and I got emotional because I got it was the first time in months that I've been outside playing in the dirt, breathing in the oxygen from the plants, even just touching the plants, and I'm so jealous but so happy for you that you have horses, and I think you have baby goats, right?
Not
Oh,
yet. The baby goats are still on the list. I am a serious baby goat enthusiast.
oh,
So
lovely.
baby goats and pajamas are definitely high on the
Oh
list.
yeah.
Projects for soon.
So when you get baby goats, come back. You are now
Yes.
part of the Cancer Bites family. And I certainly have, I stayed quiet through the whole show because I was just enthralled with what you were saying. And I'm going to go and write out all the moments of joy in my life. And I would bet I will find what I want my life to be
Yep.
like you and your baby goats. What makes me happy? And I think that that's where we have to start from. And one of the things that makes me happy is being able to provide this platform for everybody. Stacy is an amazing host, and we have incredible guests like you, and that have gone through it, survived it, and are now sharing the how to and the whys and the what fors and the whole bit, because cancer bites, but we bite back, right?
Yeah. We sure
Yes,
do.
love that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and for being here with us. And we'll definitely, keep in touch, send us stories, send us pictures of the farm at all your animals. I would love that.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Thank you. Okay, thanks for today. We'll see you
Thanks.
again. Okay. Bye.